Do some research.
I don't think I was here last time.
No, you weren't here, but we did discuss that with you about your side of.
Well, good afternoon, Commissioners and fellow citizens of Ferry County. I'd like to pick up momentarily on where we left off on Highway 395. I don't know if you had time to get into that or look into it at all.
That is right now in the hands of DOT. We've asked them to come put themselves on our agenda, so that's as far as we've gotten right now.
We are working on it.
Yeah.
I think it would be a simple solution with reduced speed signs and a
I
45
looked at
mile
that
an
when
hour
I
sign.
was headed up to do some more filming up Deadman, and so I kind of given our talk, put that in the back of my mind and stuff, so.
They do have
See
people
that.
crossing signs on each end of it, though. I did notice that.
Yes, with man walking
Yeah.
signs, yeah.
So there's that much, but Amanda has, we've gotten in touch with them and.
Because we have some other issues too, like we have some questions on the state highways. So
Yes.
it's a good opportunity to find the contact for other issues and stuff.
Well, you asked me to bring an example, a pictorial example of what you might put on the upper chamber of the courthouse with the Ten Commandments. So I've drawn up a picture. And this thing is going to cradle into a post, or it's a pillar that's on the wall. It divides the wall on the upper chamber where you walk up there and you check in before you go into the courtroom. It would cradle in the corner of this pillar. It's a 7 by 12 or 14 piece of cinder block. A pillar goes all the way from the floor to the ceiling, and that would divide the Ten Commandments, 5 on one side and 5 on the other. And it would be as a scroll. The scroll would be in the corners of that thing, and it would tip out. And I took Mike's suggestion about it being in stone, in marble. It'd be much better than if it was just in paint. And it could be fastened up there, have to drill some cement, put some fasteners, which we wouldn't do. We'd have contractor do that kind of thing. So I'll let Mike look at this and you guys pass it now. It's two-sided.
Okay.
You want me to do that?
Two-sided.
Would you have a copy for everybody?
And here's some other examples from across the country. We are a very remote section of the country with a little courthouse. Supreme Court of the United States has that posted in the Supreme Court in Washington, D.C. And just to remind us that it's not about religion. It has nothing to do with religion. It has to do with law. Without our law, we have nothing left.
This is yours, gentlemen.
It's two-sided, so I
some of those were actually done in wood, which I'm not really in favor of.
You and I differ there. I like the wood one.
What, yeah, you know, wood is my favorite medium, but my whole house is made out of wood from Ferry County, as a matter of fact, every stick of it.
Granite would be my preference, though, or marble. Just for durability.
And when that one was put in. Just curious on that.
This is all, this would be donated to the citizens.
Yes, yeah, all the funds would be donated at our expense.
So, did you have a chance to look up anything on, in regards to the country
In regards to,
and what's going, with how it,
yeah, yes, and so while I appreciate the thought behind it and the effort that's gone into it, I don't necessarily know that I would recommend that, given the precedent of our Supreme Court. I don't know, he said that it's posted in the Supreme Court, but that seems a little unlikely to me because the Supreme Court has held that you can't do that, and it was a very similar situation where they were donated by citizens to be posted in a courthouse. And they got an injunction and the Supreme Court upheld it. So I think that while I personally am in favor of the Ten Commandments and I agree with having it in the home and if you're so inclined, I don't think it would be necessarily wise to put it in our courthouse. I think you'd be running up against some strong opposition there and there is precedence not in favor.
Well, there is 10 Commandments there unless it's been removed. And it is an image of Moses himself holding the 10 Commandments. So I don't know if it's been removed, but I have a picture of it. And there are other courthouses across the country that have it posted. 10 Commandments, which is law, it's human law. It was given to us right from the beginning. It was embedded in our heart and soul. And then the Apostle Paul speaks of it in Romans 1. Don't get this mixed up with religion now, because it's not. So that we have known it, you know, from the beginning. Every person knows what's right and wrong, because it's placed within us.
And I agree with you on a personal level, but I'm just saying that when you're talking about Supreme Court case law, they have actually said that Ten Commandments are inherently a religious symbol, and so this would qualify as something that is being put up for religious purposes, even though we may think of it as law or historical or something like that. That's not necessarily how a reviewing court is going to see it.
And I know that they depend a lot on case law, but their case law was wrong. It wasn't religious. It's about law. It's the underpinning and one of the three pillars of our Constitution. And has to be separated from religion. But our people as a whole associate it as religious as it's found in the Bible, God's holy word. So there's the connection. But our founding fathers placed it within our Constitution. Because they knew this was wise. You know, it has proven itself. And our laws today are based upon this. Every law and regulation that we have cannot be approved unless it is approved by the Constitution. They cannot supersede the Constitution of the United States and still be, true law. They become de facto when they cross the Constitution. The Constitution is laid upon the foundation of the Ten Commandments and portions of Roman law and portions of Blackstone, English law. So I lay that before you.
Is there a difference, because with those pictures, some of them are outside and some of them are inside? Is there a difference?
I think it kind of depends on the context. So what I was seeing when I was researching is that some things that were, part of larger monuments were okay because they were more historical. Like there was one that involved a cemetery with a lot of historical monuments and crosses, and they were trying to say, well, we had to take down the cross because that was religious, and they said no, because it was not erected for a religious purpose, it was historical, it had other purposes, and it was in the context of the entire property with all the other monuments, it was overwhelmingly not religious. And then there was one that involved, maybe it's similar to what you mentioned, a picture of stone tablets. It didn't actually have the text, but it had a picture of the stone tablets. And they said that was okay because it didn't actually have the text of them, and the stone tablets were associated with, writing down the law in stone or something like that. But they didn't actually have the text on, so it's more of a picture. And so I don't know where all of those come from. I'd have to look at each one individually. Some may not even be on government property, or I'm not sure.
That's why I wondered, because some that are obviously inside or out, so I wondered if there was a difference.
And that's the First Amendment. It wasn't given, for separation of church and state. The First Amendment tells us that it was a safeguard for the government or the state to dictate to us how we should worship or what we should worship. It wasn't that we weren't able to express our form of worship as citizens in our country. It was because it was trying to separate government from us, how we worship.
Another way to phrase that was to keep government from imposing a religion upon us.
Yes, yeah.
Not so much protecting our government from religion. It was to keep the government from imposing a religion upon us. Keeping in mind that it was the Church of England and the English government that was telling these people how they were to reflect in their religion, I believe, down that path. But anyway, I'm no theologist, theologian or any of that, but I will say this, that, what did I do the first thing this morning? That's right. And I asked for the Lord's guidance in my decisions today. What I'm going to do, in my own opinion, is I'm going to make a motion to postpone this for a week, actually 2 weeks, and bring it back. And by then, you and I and Nathan have time to reflect upon it.
Mike, you're not here that day.
What's that?
You're not here that day.
So one day you'll be missing.
You do it
So-
through
Like this one?
You roll out through.
You're not here this day.
You know what? You're right. And that works for me. So that's what, 3 weeks?
Yes.
On the 25th.
Yes.
So, in that decision-making process, Katie, just wait. Should we enact this, what's the what do you see the outcome?
I see a lot of challenges and litigation, which frankly, I have neither the time nor expertise for. And I think as a county, we have other things that we need to focus on. Well, I don't know about you. I have a lot of things on my plate.
I understand where you're coming from. And I understood that initially that's what it was. And there will be those who will oppose it. And they may even litigate it. But do we run from litigation? Good question.
That's up to you. I'm here to offer my opinion only. And I think that you would have a very steep uphill battle.
No, I don't think the battle will get after the fact because the plaques will already be up.
Well,
So when we're at the top of the hill, now they're going to push us back down. Try to suppress our beliefs and the beliefs of this nation and the founding fathers. And I find that absolutely appalling, and I'm not afraid of it. So I do have some other considerations, financial reasons. So that would weigh in. John, you got, Bob wants to say something.
Since this nation is basically a Judeo-Christian nation, founded on Christian principles, and I've heard arguments that this would be blasphemous, it would be dividing people, and it would be, there was a number of other little things that, and I've never understood how the Ten Commandments would divide anybody, because this is something God put in order. God put this in stone. He wrote it with his own finger in stone. And so there'd be people that don't like it, but they have to realize that they are in a Christian nation. It's not an atheist nation, a Muslim nation, a Hindi nation, or any of the other religions. So they have the freedom to practice their religion, but we also have that freedom. And to say that it's blasphemy, I mean, I was reading this morning on what real blasphemy is, and this is far from being blasphemous, and it's far from dividing people. So that's my 2 cents.
Jamie?
I'm glad that Mr. Rowell weighed in with the Constitution and the First Amendment. And being Christian and being a veteran, and excuse my voice, the pollen in Clariton is doing a number. The first commandment says, "Thou shalt have no other God before me." And if that doesn't scream establishment of religion, I don't know what does. And we have Muslims, we have Sikhs, we have other religions here, but we don't have people trying to quote Muhammad and put it on our courthouse. Religion is a personal thing. You keep it to yourself. You don't bludgeon people over the head with it. And as far as blasphemy, the act of what is trying to be done is not, I don't see that as blasphemy. I see the approach when you're calling people enemies, and when you're seeing how it might stir people up in an election season. I see that as the blasphemy. I see people who are not looking into their hearts, and their hearts are not in the right place, in approaching this. And that is what I saw as blasphemy. Now, you're going to do whatever you're going to do. But if it goes up, you will have a challenge. Because I'm not going to see something that you put up there with anger and division and whatever else in your hearts sit on that courthouse. That's all I got.
So you said you had a picture of the, what was in the courthouse, like what Katie was saying, it might not have.
Put on camera.
Um,
Don't have it.
Okay, would you bring that in and come back in 3 weeks?
On the 25th?
Yes, please. And we'll do some research.
Doug, will you be able to be here on the 25th
Yes,
at 10:30 in the morning?
yes.
Ms. Katie, can you come again too, please?
A photo.
We'll see. I'm not quite sure.
Okay, you may have other things planned at that
I
time.
was told the first,
30th.
is that right? Sounds like the first. First is a good day.
Things you have no control over.
Things you have no control over.
Tell me got one over here.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, my religion's a personal thing to me, whether I have it or don't, it's my thing. I don't want it on the wall in there because that's your thing. And I think it is divisive for this county in that way. And as we grow, and as we get more people of different and differing thoughts, I think what you're doing is you're putting something in their face and you're telling them they're not welcome here. And that the law is not as equal for them as it is for you. Your right supersedes theirs. This is the United States of America, not the United States of Christ or Buddha or Allah or anybody else. This is the United States of America. We are citizens. And everybody that walks into that courthouse should know that their law comes from the people. If they want to practice their church or their religion or that law, they have every right to do it. And I would fight every day for that. I really would. I'd die for it. But in our halls of justice, this has been, as the young lady said, this has been litigated many times. I want everybody that goes in there for a judgment by a court of their peers, I want them to know they are welcome. Not that Moses' law is sitting there, but not theirs. It's just not right.
Thank you for your input. Stan, we got time for about 2
I got a
minutes.
question.
Yes, sir.
Didn't all 9 Supreme Court justices, when they put on that black robe, and our judges and the people in that courthouse, put their right hand on a Bible and swear an oath for their oath of office? Seems that's what everybody's asked when they go in front of the judges. Do you swear to tell the truth, so help you God? I don't know. I think it's, that's my question. I think they did, didn't they? Put their hands on the Bible? They didn't put it on a Quran. Yeah, something to think about.
So we now we're gonna be going into executive session.
Back.
Personnel at 2 o'clock.
I'm gonna sell that red for
Thank you for coming.
Stop it.
I'll try to make it on the 25th if I'm here.
Sounds good for me.
It's a living salon.
Okay.
Oh, you do? You're a midwife?
Piece of cake. Deliver puppies, how's that, kids? I'll be here, you can help me out. Teasing. Oh, well, she'll be here, she can help me out.
Are you going down?
Going down to where?
Where you're selling your stuff?
Does that work for you?
No.
Okay, we'll do that. All right.
I don't have it.
Mine, knuckles, my house from gardening by the end of the day.
Thanks, Doug.
Thank you,
Well,
Doug.
what's on the agenda next for today?
And then another executive session.
You're on.
Sure. Now, if you don't, I thought you have some today, you're gonna put